What is the real true paleo? Let's talk about it. Hey health heroes, welcome back to a new episode of Paleo Police on the Adamimmune channel, and I want to watch this video together and react to it from this channel called SciShow, and they're talking about the paleo diet. What is the actual paleo diet? Is it good? Is it a fad? Let's get into it.
Since the 1970s, there's been this fad diet that keeps going in and out of fashion, and one can generally assume that fad diets are, well, fads. In 5 years, people lose interest again, and it will have turned out that we should have been eating more vegetables and fewer chips and less sugar water, but we won't do that because those things are delicious. The paleo diet is based on the idea that humans evolved eating a specific diet, and because we aren't eating the food we evolved to eat, we aren't healthy. Leaving aside the fact that humans are now vastly more healthy than we were 50,000 years ago.
Wait, humans are vastly more healthy than they were 50,000 years ago? Are you sure about that? Diabetes, heart disease, cancer rates? Really? Yes, we can live longer because of modern medicine. Does that mean we're healthier though? I would argue no, not at all.
What diet did humans evolve eating, and would we be healthier if we matched it? The trouble with the whole idea of matching what Paleolithic humans ate is that if they were anything like today's hunter-gatherer cultures, and we think they were, they ate very different things. A 2000 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition reviewed the diets of over 200 different hunter-gatherer cultures and showed a huge range. Carbohydrates were between 22 and 40%, with roughly the same spread for fat, and protein was 19 to 56% of their diet.
Clearly, they're showing, range, mid-range averages here, because there are a lot of different cultures that actually ate a lot more protein, a lot more fat, a lot lower carbohydrates. Who's arguing macros though? I think we should focus more on the quality of the food. If we're talking macros, we could probably just agree that they were over average, eating more fat from animal sources and lower carb, especially from simple carbs. Protein, it's negligible either way. Different cultures would have consumed more or less, but the key there is that they were eating high quality protein animal sources every single time. There was no low quality protein sources at all. There was no pea protein, there wasn't farm fish, there wasn't all this conventional, traditional, factory farmed chicken and beef. The paleo diet actually suggests eating high quality protein sources, animal sources, which would be your wild caught fish, your grass-fed beef. Go with the best you can afford.
There are certainly massive differences between what we eat and what hunter-gatherers eat, and we would be well suited to include more dietary fiber.
Oh yes, fiber. That's what we all need, right? Why is fiber this hill that everyone wants to die on? I just don't understand. The amount of fiber we need in our diet is consistent with how much other foods that we shouldn't be eating. If you're eating tons of unnatural foods, unpaleo foods, you're gonna need more fiber to move that stuff out of your colon, out of your bowels. When you're eating a meat-based paleo diet, you don't need that much fiber, like at all. And there's tons of new studies that show that eating more fiber is actually detrimental to your overall health.
And we would be well suited to include more dietary fiber, less salt, and way less sugar and refined carbohydrate.
Of course, less sugar and carbohydrates, but where is this sodium hate coming from? We have always consumed sodium. Sodium is not the cause of these issues. We want to attribute that to things like sodium, because all these processed and junk foods have high amounts of sodium, but they also have high amounts of other things, right? Like trans fats, industrial seed oils. We should not be eating any of these foods. Sodium is great. In fact, if you're eating a natural diet, you might actually require more sodium.
But even if we did pick one of those cultures and try to eat what they ate, we wouldn't be able to, because what they ate, aside from deer and bison, isn't really available to us. Almost all of the fruits and vegetables at the grocery store have been selectively bred for thousands of years to create the most nutritious and useful produce.
Okay, 1 second. Nutritious, right? Yeah, because hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, we knew what nutrition was, right? We're like, oh yeah, let's make this vegetable more nutritious. No, come on guys. We made it so it was more delicious and juicier, and there was actually more fruit on it to eat. Like a banana it was like mostly seeds, and now it's like mostly the meat of the banana. What we have left is something super unnatural and very high in sugars, because that's what's delicious, right? These are not natural foods and they should be limited. I'm not saying to cut them completely out of your diet. Some of these foods can be good if you eat the right amounts of them, but once you overdo it, you might as well just be eating tons of refined sugar.
And the claim that our bodies haven't kept up with the changes in our diets doesn't really hold up either. The idea that humans can't have evolved very much since the Paleolithic era isn't really true. Studies suggest that we've developed a few new adaptations just within the last few thousand years. One of the more famous examples is that all adults used to be lactose intolerant, but thanks to a relatively recent mutation, about 30% of the world can now eat ice cream.
So your argument is that 70% of the world can't digest lactose, 30% now can? This is absurd! If most people on planet Earth cannot digest lactose, it's probably a good indicator that we shouldn't be eating those foods. This isn't rocket science, guys. If you want to eat dairy, eat grass-fed ghee, because it is lactose and casein free.
And according to research published in 2007 in the journal Nature Genetics, the ability to better digest starch also evolved over time. The researchers tested 7 different populations, 3 with high-starch diets and 4 with low-starch diets. They found that people from the high-starch populations were almost twice as likely to have extra copies of a gene called AMY1 that codes for the starch-digesting protein in saliva. It didn't matter whether they were European Americans or Hadza hunter-gatherers, they still had more copies. It's unlikely that the extra copies of AMY1 came from one mutation that spread, because they were found in groups that wouldn't have had much contact. Instead, the researchers suggest that people with extra copies of the gene were naturally selected for in all the groups because they were able to get more nutrition out of their starch-rich diet.
So I don't even know why he brought this up. Starches are mostly from root vegetables and things like that. Like, it's paleo. What's the point? Oh, you're gonna bring in bread here in a second, right?
Our bodies are versatile, and they're equipped to handle a slice of bread or two.
Our bodies are very versatile, you're right. And we can actually handle small amounts of cyanide too, and other toxins and poisons. What are you talking about, dude? Just because you can eat something doesn't mean you should. Over time, you're gonna develop metabolic syndrome, metabolic diseases like cancer, diabetes, heart disease, because of all these foods that we're eating in excess amount. Just because you can have a slice of bread or two doesn't mean you should do that every single day. Doesn't mean you should do it at all. There is a lot of individuality when it comes to diets and health. Of course, genetics are going to play a role, but you could just say eat a paleo diet, but some of you could eat a slightly higher carb, and some of you would do better on a lower carb. Both are paleo diets. When has balance ever brought great health? Ask yourself that. And if we're trying to optimize, or better yet, if we're trying to heal, why would we want to include these foods in the first place? Here's a novel thought. People that go paleo actually do it for health reasons. Maybe they don't care so much about their weight. Maybe they're trying to keep their autoimmune symptoms in check. Maybe they're trying to put their chronic disease into remission. Maybe they don't want to be this sheep and eat like everyone else does on the standard American diet and get sick and stay sick and die like everyone else does. Just as bad as government guidelines. Eat a little bit of whole grains, it's good for you. Oh, no. Eat a lot of whole grains, it's better for you. Definitely keep your meat and saturated fat down, because that's harmful. I mean, we've only been eating that for 2.5 million years, but all of a sudden it's bad for you, even though there are no associated links, and all of those risks are associated with epidemiological studies, which actually don't have a causation links at all. But hey, that's cool. We're just gonna make guesses and theoretical concepts, and we're gonna spew it out to you. And don't worry, you're gonna get sick, because over the last 100 years, everyone is getting sick and dying from all these metabolic syndrome diseases. But hey, it's cool. Eating the way we were evolved or designed to eat is just dumb. Only a dumb person would do that, right? Anyway, that was a great video. I hope you guys enjoyed that. This is actually a cool channel. I watch them sometimes. They have some cool videos that come out. So, not trying to hate. I'm very passionate about my Paleolithic diet. I also do keto, and I also love fasting as well, because I do believe in the before time, our ancestors wouldn't have had food available. They would have actually had to have abstained from food at times, and maybe just consisted on water alone, and maybe not even that. I don't know. Check out my dry fasting video if you want to know more about that. If you enjoyed, drop a like, smash that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. See you next time.